welcome to another episode of Convention Confessional. I am your host, Katy Hunt, and we bring you some of the most scary, but not so scary, but funny, but not so funny, weirdest convention stories that we can think of that are happening on real life events, obviously. No need to make up stories about conventions because some of the shit you can't make up. And my point in today, before, we're not going to waste any time getting into it. Ryan is back as one of my guests. Hi, Ryan.
Hello, I'm back.
And we have quite the story to tell you about a convention we worked that literally is wiped off the map. You can't find anything.
I didn't even know this until we just got on to this right now. We were discussing how we were gonna broach this subject, and Katie's like, you can't find it anywhere. And then I started Googling. I got really specific. I was Googling the title of this place along with events and guests who were there, and I can't find anything except for one, like somebody's blog that was like, I met Leonard Nimoy at this convention. That's the only information I could find. That's crazy.
Completely wiped off existence, and probably because of all the legal shit that happened at it. So
okay, so this is not okay. So in the convention world, right? Like, I was just listening to that podcast you and Pat did, right? And it's like a similar story where it's like, what is with these conventions that do all this weird, shady shit that make conventions look really bad? That are like, because there's good conventions out there, but there's so many shady, weird ones, and this is one of those.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very much so.
All right, so are we gonna say what this convention is, or are we just gonna dance around?
NEFE. I think we're just gonna call it NEFE.
Okay.
I feel like we need to preface into before the convention and going before we actually get into the crap that happened at the convention.
I mean, it's kind of a blur, but we're gonna go for it. So I was involved with it before you, though, not because I wanted to be, but because Pam was there and she was recruiting me.
Right.
That's how you got involved.
Right, because you were like, hey, you want to come and do it this weekend? And you can be, because we're going to do dating game, and dating game's going to be Torchwood themed, because we had just come off of a high of doing Torchwood at Kineticon. It went so well.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, get to work another convention? Sure.
Stupid. Well, that's when you and I were like, how many conventions can we rack up and also perform at in 1 year?
Yeah, that was back when we were in our prime. Like, hell yeah, bring them on. We can do it.
We could. That's all we did. We just worked and went to cons and performed. That's it.
But that's when our friend M, we're gonna refer to as M,
okay,
found out that we were gonna be involved, and they were like, oh, great, we need some help with bigger events at it too and stuff, and writing for stuff. And that's when I got asked to write the radio play, remember?
Oh my god, I forgot that was even happening.
So there was a big event. God. They had a lot of good headlining guest stars coming to be a part of the convention, and they were going to hold a dinner to raise money.
It was a dinner theater, right?
Yeah, it was supposed to be a radio play theater thing. And they were like, we want to do an original script. Can you write something? And I was like, holy crap, I get to write a radio play for Leonard Nimoy and James Hong and Gareth David Lloyd. There was a lot of good names there. I was like, yeah, I definitely want to do that. So I wrote, basically what happened was I took all the characters that any of those people had played, and I had them playing opposite characters.
Right.
And it was basically the Doctor and an annoying companion, and they're jumping through time trying to find, I can't remember what they were trying to find, but they went through Dudley Do-Right, and they went through Star Trek, and they bounced around, and it was funny. I thought it was funny. I mean,
I remember it being funny. I remember us having to sit down at M's house with the coordinators, the owners of these shady owners of this convention, and we had to sit down and read this script for M, and then the owners. We read this script 3 times in a row.
I had to edit it at least 5 or 6 times for them.
Yeah, well, I remember that, but we sat there in one day, and it was I don't know why we didn't read it one time for all of them in one room, but for some reason we had to read it for them individually each time that day. And I was I remember by the 3rd time, I was I don't know if I can read this again. I was not because it was bad, but just because we read an entire fucking script.
Right, it was at least what? It was at least a 30-minute script.
Yeah, I was like, how many times am I performing this today? How do the
Right.
people at Festival of the Lion King do this every day?
Right. And like I love it too because they're just like, oh well, I mean, I don't think this person would say that. I'm like, that's the joke.
Oh my
Like they didn't
god.
understand
I
the joke.
forgot about that.
No, and then about a week before the convention actually happened, they email me and they go, "Yeah, you know, we're just gonna use this like box script that we found, and that'll be good enough. Thanks, anyways."
Wait, but like, I bet you it's a script they wrote themselves.
Oh, I don't even know where they found it. No, it was like some actual like back and forth radio show kind of thing. It was stupid. From what I understand, it was pretty bad. Like anybody that went to that dinner was like, "Oh my god, it was so boring."
I don't even remember. I don't. The thing is that we were not involved with it after the script left
Right.
your hands, and like then after that, they're like, "We're not doing this." And this wasn't the only problem this convention had. It was like there were so many other things because they recruited me. Well, Pam recruited me because she was in, we think, guest relations. We don't really remember, but it's Pam, so she probably was in guest relations.
Right.
And she recruited me because she's like, we need somebody to run any of the cosplay events, which like they didn't have any lined up. I think they might have had a costume contest, but I don't really remember. But I remember the owners being like, well, we don't understand what cosplay is and we don't think it should be at the convention. I remember that being a conversation and I was like, do you wait, what?
What?
And it
Yeah.
it became very clear to me over the months that I was working for them before you really even got that involved with it that I was like, these people don't even know what a convention is. They just want to make money. Like that's all that they're here for.
Right.
And it was fucking weird. Well, I think they were nerds because they were really into meeting Leonard Nimoy and I feel like they created this entire convention so they could specifically meet him and they kind of guised that they're because they hung out with him. They like made this whole thing where they got to hang out with him for 3 days because they were the owners of the convention.
But
So
he
I
didn't
think,
go for 3 days.
or well, however long
He was
he was
only there for
there.
that one day. He was only there for the Saturday.
Okay, well, all I know is that they were gone all day because they were with him.
Right.
So I was like, did they really orchestrate an entire convention so they could hang out with Leonard Nimoy?
Yeah.
Like that seems like a lot. So
But then you guys got asked to do the shadow cast for Repo.
okay, well, it wasn't. We weren't asked. It was our actual shadow cast was like, okay, yeah, we'll perform there. That shadow cast, I loved that show and the people I worked with, but like the show itself did not do well in
Well, we'll get
terms
to
of
it. We'll
like.
get to it because that's part of the story.
Well, I just meant in general. I don't mean just NEFE. Like it had a few shows and then died. You know what I mean?
Right. But then we
So
also got asked to do that tea party, which we'll get to also.
okay, well, basically, these people asked us to do like 35 different things, and we're
Right.
like, yeah, sure, we're
Right.
pros at this. I remember that they wouldn't even give me a place to sit there and be like, okay, we need people to sign up for the cosplay event. So they wouldn't set anything up on the website, and I just had to do it through the message boards and hope to God somebody saw them, which nobody did. So nobody signed up. So we just asked our friends to do stuff,
Yep.
basically, because that's how we recruited Halden and Maddie to come and do this shit show of a convention.
Yep. You know what's funny? Now that I remember who told me the shadow cast was okay. You know who told me?
Who?
Leonard Nimoy's agent.
So he liked it.
No, he did not like it.
Oh, he did not like
No,
it?
he's like, it was okay. I was like,
Oh, wow. Okay.
So getting into like the actual aspect of it, I went into Boston to go meet up. Pam picked me up at the airport because the bus dropped me off at one of the terminals. And
Right.
she's like, I really shouldn't be doing this, but like since you're here anyways, instead of you trying to figure out where the hell we are in Boston, I have to pick somebody up right now, but you have to pretend you're a guest.
Wait, I forgot about this. And I also love how she doesn't specify the name. You're like, okay,
And I'm
cool.
just like, oh my god, who's getting in the car with us? I'm like, ugh! So we sat in the cell phone lot for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden we get a text saying that the guest is here, and we pull around, and that's when we picked up Leonard Nimoy's agent.
Right, okay.
And it was funny because she's like, you're a guest, like, don't really talk to him. I'm like, okay. But the guy's so nice, and he's like, hi, how are you? And I'm like, I'm good. And he goes, are you a guest? I'm like, mm-hmm.
Wait. Are we talking about Leonard Nimoy or his agent?
Oh, his agent. I didn't get to meet. The only time I let Leonard Nimoy we'll get to. So,
Okay.
so the guy's like talking to me, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to be rude and not talk to him. And he was just like, oh, like, are you here? I'm like, oh, I'm one of the cosplay guests. And I just left it at that because he's like, oh, okay. And basically ended up becoming best friends with this guy because I mentioned that 3 Men and a Baby was one of my favorite movies, which it is still, not a lie.
Do you still
and
talk to
Leonard
this
Nimoy
person?
directed it.
Oh.
And he's like,
Okay, but
he's so proud of his work in that. And I'm like, I was like, somewhere in my mind, I was like, I must have an in with Leonard Nimoy somewhere. But we go back to the hotel and he's like, well, you have a great weekend. I hope I see you again. And we ended up running into each other a couple of times. And like I said, one of those times happened to be when he told me the radio play was garbage. So
oh, wow. Who told he said it was okay,
yeah.
okay. He's not saying yours was garbage. He was saying that the one that they ended up
Yeah,
doing
because
was
no one
garbage.
ever saw
Okay.
mine except you, me, and
Did
the
you tell him
other
that you
room.
wrote the original script and they trashed it?
I didn't have a chance to. I was like, I was
No.
still in like that mode of like, don't trash the convention kind of thing because you'd
Okay,
work
yeah,
at
yeah.
it. But
Yeah, that would be bad. I got it.
yeah. But in the back of my mind, I was just like, well, he would have had a better fucking script and he would have been fucking Dudley Do Right. So
I forgot that that whole situation happened with Pam, but that's really funny. Okay, can we like backtrack for a second before we get into this because I was involved with the convention, excuse me, before you got involved and then I reached out and asked you. So like there was this period of time where we went up to Canada. Did I tell you about this? Do you remember this? I went to Canada to advertise for our convention in New England for some reason.
I think I remember. Yes.
So basically, I don't. Okay, so this was the situation: is that the owners of NEFE somehow knew the owners of this other convention in Toronto, and they were like, "Oh, we're going to go and set up a booth to get people from up there to come to our convention, and we're going to tell everybody that we have awesome guests." And I think the other part of it was that Leonard Nimoy and his agent was at this convention, so the owner of that convention was going to hook these people up to get them to come to NEFE or whatever.
Right.
And so I had to get a booth and go up there and advertise. And this was like when I started to be like, this is going to be a shit show from start to top to bottom. I can tell right now because I showed up. Pam and I drove in the like we made this drive from Boston, Massachusetts to Toronto in one night, by the way.
Ugh.
And yeah, we had to wait until she was out of work at 11 or something. So we drove like all fucking night. And we get up there, we get into the room and we crash, whatever. The next day, we sleep for like maybe 3 hours. Then I get up and I'm like, okay, I got to change into Jack because we're going to go downstairs and advertise. And so we went down to the booth and we were handing out like flyers or whatever. And the entire time, the owners kept on telling me I was doing it wrong. They kept on being like, no, you're spending too much time talking to people. You just need to stand here and silently hand out these flyers. And I was like,
That's a cult.
nobody's going to come to your convention if I do that. So I'm not going to listen to you. Also, you're not paying me. Like, you are not giving me a paycheck. So I can really do whatever the hell I want. So I kept on doing that. They got really upset because I was being Jack and I kept on flirting with people and they're like, that's really inappropriate. I'm like, I have not said anything inappropriate. I can take it there if you want me to. Trust me, I can go there. I can say some of the trashiest shit, but I'm not going to do that. And it was just crazy the entire time. And I remember I was so exhausted after that first day. And they had their kids there too, working for them because they had like adopted these two girls and put them to work immediately. We kept on making jokes about like, did they actually adopt children or did they adopt people to do work for them? Like you know what I'm saying? Like they're like, oh, we got two people that we can discreetly do slave laws to. Like it was really fucking weird. So we basically went that whole day, and then Pam and I met up with some of the original Shadowcast performers that first opened up a Shadowcast of Repo in Toronto, and they were the very first ones. And so we met up with them, got some hot tips, walked around the city, and then we were like, I'm exhausted. We need to go to bed. We went to bed, and then those two owners came into the hotel room at like 2 a.m. and were just like screaming. Like, I mean, like they were like either angry or happy. I couldn't tell, but they were so drunk, like so drunk, and they like had their friends there. I think that agent was in the room too. And eventually, I woke up and I was like, everyone needs to shut the fuck up. Like it's like 3 a.m. and we drove here all night. And so they're like, oh, wow, he's like really mad. I was like, yeah, I am. You're screaming. And this is so unnecessary right now. And so then the next day, M and I were walking around, and that guy who ran the convention was meeting up with the NEFE owners, and they were being all weird and whatever. And then they said that they had gotten Leonard Nimoy for NEFE. That's how Leonard Nimoy even got attached to this. But in the help, like, come to me. But like, I straight up was like, something's not right here. Something is not adding up. And this is before I had any more information down the line. And I was like, this whole convention seems shady as hell. And I don't know what their deal is and who these people even are really. mean, this is like 2009, so we didn't have the same resources on the internet to just Google, you know. Um, but I was like, I don't know, something's just not right about this,
Didn't
and
stop us.
no, it didn't, because we'd already committed and we were like, well, how far down the rabbit hole can we go without us being roped into everything? Because we're like,
Stupid
okay, we can
Pat,
at least
Katie, and Ryan.
perform, we can at least get our name out there. Like, we have shows we're gonna do. So in the long run, it can't affect us personally, but like it was affecting M, and by extension affecting Pam, even though Pam had no, like, legal standing over any of this. She was just there to help,
Yeah, it was just stressful because we're all friends. Like, we're all trying to help each other, and it's like you see your friends sinking. It sucks.
Yeah, it does, and it was just a really weird fucking weekend in my life, and I just remember being like, I'm in another country, in Toronto, meeting all these people as Jack, so I'm, like, kind of, like, getting a weird version of meeting people in general because they think I'm this other super flirty character, you know what I mean? It was just, like, a very strange weekend all around,
Well, it's like
and
even the lead up, like the week before, a couple days before that, M was just coming back from Japan. Remember?
oh, right, I forgot
Because
about that. You're talking about right before
they
NEFE.
planned that whole
Yeah.
trip with their mom to go to Japan for a couple weeks before the convention started. Because you figure everything's pretty much set up. Like, why wouldn't you be able to go away for a couple days?
Well, sure, but also it doesn't matter because, like, you can take a trip as long as you have everything organized, you
Right,
know?
and it was little did they know when they got back what a nightmare things had turned into. But anyway,
Well,
so we got to the convention finally,
yes.
and I remember we got a room. It was you, me, Pam, Brian, right?
Oh, Brian was there. I forgot that Brian was there.
Yep. And
I was trying to remember who was in this room. Lindsay, right?
I can't remember if they had their own room or not. I can't remember.
I think Lindsay was in the room. Okay, so I got dro I you were there before me though because the convention started and I couldn't get that Friday off from work. So I had do you remember Guy and Jim?
Ugh. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they were like, well, I'm still friends with Jim. I don't know what happened to Guy, but like they had to come pick me up because they were also going to the convention because we had like cast Guy to play Yanto
Yeah.
in our tortured dating game. Except like Guy and I had like some weird like sort of Guy and Jim are also married, but Guy and I also had some sort of like weird I don't know. I don't know what was going on between us, but like it was like not really a relationship, but there was something like going on between us at the time. And at the time that I had done NEFE, I had started dating Ben. So like when I got there, Guy and I weren't even getting along. So that was just like extra drama. I don't mind talking about this at this point because like who cares? Like it's just it is what it is.
Hmm.
But they had to pick me up and bring me to the hotel room. And you were like, when I got there, I was like, I gotta get in. And you're like, dude, where have you been all day? I was like, I couldn't get here any sooner. And you're like, we had to like race right down to Repo. But I don't know what the day was like for you for the beginning of that
Well,
because I was
like I
there.
said, before you got there, like I think it was Thursday night, Gareth David Lloyd came in.
Oh, that's right,
Um,
because you came on a Thursday, didn't you?
right, and that was right after Children of Earth happened. So he was just fresh out of Torchwood.
Right. So
And
like he didn't have a
everybody
job anymore.
Right, and if everybody wasn't there for Leonard Nimoy, they were there to see him. So, like, they were literally crazy fangirls at this
Oh my
convention.
god, I forgot about this. There was no security at this con, by the way.
No! There was no security at this convention. So the poor guy and his now wife, like, was then girlfriend, they, like, barely got up to their room, and, like, people found out what room number they were in somehow.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
I think he changed hotel rooms at least twice.
He did.
He
He
did.
did.
But it was just like, why? Who gave people that information? Like, how did they even find out where he went? Like,
Mention M came to me and she was like, "Can you be my security?" And I was like, "Why isn't there just security here anyway? Like, I could do this because I know how to do it, but it's not my job, you know?"
right. I was like, oh my god. So they had to change like hotel rooms like a million times. And I remember on the Friday before you got there, I mean, that was the day I was like, well, I'm never going to see this famous person anyways, because I ended up somehow doing guest relations stuff also because
There was no staff. That's
there was
why.
nobody. Yeah, like I was like, we're watching this person. I'm like, okay. And someone came up to me that was part of whatever staff, and they're like, yeah, Gareth said he's not coming downstairs. I was like,
Ever.
excuse me? And they're like, yeah, he said that he's not coming downstairs because of like the psychopaths. He has no way of getting down here because guess what? No security for him. So I knew what hotel room he was in originally. And I went up to the room and I, like, I knocked on the door and he wasn't coming to the door for anybody. Like, even like we were like, hi. Like, I swear to God, I'll slip my badge under the door. We're not like we're staff. We're not
Right.
anybody.
Right. I don't think I know this part of the
Yeah,
story.
and
So
he didn't
now
come
I'm
down for
sitting on the edge of
any
my seat here.
he didn't come down for like any of his signings on the first day. I'm almost positive. Like, did not come downstairs for any of them.
Yes.
And then basically like in the middle of the night we changed their hotel room so nobody would knew where they were. So that
So
ended up
did
working out
you
because then
go
like he
up
didn't
there and
get
help him with that?
hmm?
Where was I?
I don't know.
But I
Well, that's the thing. You
oh,
weren't
I
there.
know where I was. Okay, but keep on going.
Right. So that got fixed. And so by Saturday and Sunday he was downstairs doing autographs and stuff. And I think finally like a staff person basically had to live on the floor he was on to like make sure
Yes.
people didn't go to his room.
Right.
But that was
That's
a mess. So
crazy.
then so then you
I
blew in like a hurricane for Repo and Repo was good.
Repo was fun. Okay, so I mean, I guess I'll clarify that this was basically Rocky Horror except with a different movie, which is Repo's Genetic Opera. And I don't know, I don't feel like it was bad, but like it was definitely like not great either because it was only our second show, you know?
Right. And
And
then I got to be a part of it.
oh yeah, because we needed somebody to in a wheelchair. That was really funny though, because you were supposed to die and then you were dead, and I'm like, you gotta die, and you're like, well, how the fuck am I supposed to? Why are you telling me this now on stage?
Yeah, like you didn't tell me, you're just like, go sit in that wheelchair. And I'm like, okay.
Was because there. I mean, Ryupo. It was definitely like it's a fun story in terms of like a show story because this happens all the time in theater, but like suddenly you realize that you don't have somebody like an extra that you needed for this scene like while the show is happening. And it's like, oh shit, where is that person? But thank God you were there in a suit, and it was great because you were dressed as Yanto, and
Which
then
I
you got
think made
Kyoto,
it
which
funnier
was
for people because they were like, oh my God, haha, it's Yanto. And then I died. And they were like, no, Yanto.
yeah, I mean that was funny. All I remember from that is that like I was in such I was such a mess when I got there because like I had no time to even get ready for this convention or this show, and I just blew in for Repo. Like I think I went to the hotel room for 5 seconds to put on the Pavi costume because I was playing Pavi Largo and he had a prosthetic mask that was attached to his face.
Mm-hmm.
And like then we went downstairs and you were in the back trying to help us, and I kept on losing my shit.
Yeah,
like
you did.
like I guess losing my shit mentally, but also I'm just losing my shit in the sense that like the items that I needed, like my props were going missing.
Yeah, like his stupid pink sparkly scarf.
That
Where's my
became a
scarf? I'm not going on stage without my scarf. And I'm standing there with it. And I'm like, take your fucking scarf.
You know what? It's great that that pink sparkly scarf exists because that became a running joke in Catapult, which we'll do on a later podcast with Jess. But remember when I couldn't find my mirror? And I was like, if I don't find my mirror, I'm going to quit this show. That's a $25 mirror that I got from an antique show, and blah blah blah. And you're like, it's right here.
Yeah, literally holding it.
You know what the problem was? Is that we never fucking wore contacts for these shows, and like we couldn't see without our glasses. Like,
But
why did we do
the
that?
prop room for like the shadow cast was literally like a divider in the room and everything was piled behind it.
That's because when and we went to go look at the space beforehand, and we are like, okay, so where can we have stage left and stage right? And they were like, oh, well, we can't do that here. So let's put some curtains up, and we're like, okay, I guess we're gonna just take some garment racks and throw shit over them. Like,
Yeah,
cool.
if it was even as neat as that, that's being
No,
generous.
it wasn't. I don't know. I mean, I don't really remember how that show even went because I don't know. It's not like I was sick or anything, but maybe we were like losing it slowly, you know.
Hmm.
Anyway, so that was day one, but also this answers where you were when you were dealing with Gareth David Lloyd,
Right.
trying to because I think you guys moved him a couple times, like you said, but like that night, because I was just asking him like, where the fuck was I? It's because for some reason there was a Repo Shadowcast Q&A panel that they made us do at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, you were gone
I
forever.
I know, and like we went down there because Halden and Maddie were with us, and we were like, there was actually people who showed up to ask us questions. I was surprised. I was like, why? I didn't think anybody would be there, but I guess if it's like one of the only things that's open in the middle of the night of the convention, people are going to go to it.
Yeah.
So we sat there and we answered questions. I think Maddie Halden and I were so loopy that I don't know, I was getting really aggressive towards the audience because they were like asking questions. I'm like, that's a dumb question. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I want to go to bed. Like, oh God. So that's day one.
Yeah, that was Friday.
Okay, good.
So Saturday.
Saturday is when, like,
Oh,
fucking Saturday.
Yeah, 'cause Saturday was dinner theater at night. That radio thing at night, because Nimoy
Yes.
came in early, and you would have thought, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Leonard Nimoy is the man, but you would have
Yes.
thought like NSYNC showed up.
I mean,
Like the
for
doors
nerds,
open and it's like screaming Trekkies. You're like, oh my god.
I think that's how Gareth David Lloyd got around. He's like, okay, they're distracted now. I
Yeah,
can
literally.
leave my room to get something to eat.
Pretty much. And I remember, like, that day I was like, there's no chance in hell in my life I'm ever going to meet Leonard Nimoy, so I dressed up like Spock because I had my Spock costume that I really liked. And I was like, I'll never embarrass myself. Who's never going to see me? Like, I'm not going to get anywhere near the guy, right?
Yeah, and of course it's you, so like the opposite of what you just said. Is
Yeah,
gonna
exactly. Stupid past Katie. So again, like I get thrown into guest relation stuff, and I end up watching James. They tell like you're gonna watch James Hong's table for a while the Nimoy signing is happening in like.
Oh right,
the
I forgot
ballroom.
you like became friends with James Hahn over the weekend.
Right, we can't be friends with James Hong, and during the day, like before I got down to watch James Hong while Nimoy was signing, I'd come upstairs to look for you guys in the hotel room. I forget why we were all meeting up, but I know y'all were meeting up at the hotel room.
Was it for the tea party that we have to talk about? Is it for the tea party?
It might have been a tea party meeting. I can't remember. Either that or it was a dating game rehearsal or something. Oh, it was rehearsal for a dating game.
It was because that's when Guy and I had to go over the choreography for Tango Harkness, which was a great rewrite that Katy Hunt wrote.
I know. I really wish there was a video of it still on YouTube somewhere. It was really good.
I don't know. I'm kind of glad there's like no videos from this convention, to be honest with you.
So I came upstairs to find you guys to practice, and above, like the very top floor of the convention, like, well, I say convention center, it was a hotel, but the very top floor of the convention was where the photo booth was.
Yes.
And I didn't realize that the photos that were happening when I got into the elevator were the Nimoy photo shoot.
So right.
Yeah, so I get in and I hear, "Hi, Katie." And I look and there's Leonard Nimoy's agent, and I slowly pan over and there is Leonard Nimoy.
Oh my god.
And I'm standing there dressed like Spock.
This is actually it's funny that it's happening this way because it's also not what you want it to happen at all.
No.
In a way, it's like almost embarrassing.
It's terrible. Because here's the thing, it's just like, some people do it. They go and they dress up like their favorite character and they go get photos with their favorite character.
But that's not what you do.
You know, everyone's like flattered by it. I'm not that person, Ryan, and you know it.
I know, that's what I said. It's not what you do. I don't do it. I don't even dress up.
like Gareth David Lloyd, when I'm going to his hotel room and I'm like, it's the Friday. What are my chances of seeing Gareth David Lloyd up close? Oh, pretty good, because now I'm banging on his door dressed like Yanto. I'm like, oh my god. So of course when I get into an elevator to go see you, I'm dressed like Spock. There's Spock. So I'm like, hi. And he goes, oh, hi. And, you know, like I turn back to the elevator. I'm like, oh my god, is this thing, oh, what floor are we on? Oh, I still have like 7 floors. This is the worst day of my life. Like,
it's like one of those situations where it stops at every floor too.
Right. And it was. And so I'm like, you know, I'm
vaguely, this is all coming back to me now.
Yeah, so I'm sitting there quietly, and all of a sudden I hear, is that your hair?
You're like, no.
Oh, it was. No, it was. I cut my hair because that was back before I did wigs, Ryan. I didn't like doing wigs.
I remember.
And I sighed. I'm like, yeah, it's my hair. And he goes, I'm impressed. And I was like, I'm going to go die. That's what I'm going to do. So, thank you, Leonard Nimoy. I'm going to I'm gonna fuck off. And
Did
I
you
got
did you
off
did
the
you ever
elevator. I think I took the stairs to the next floor because I just had to like
Yeah,
not
you're like,
think.
"I gotta get away," and you just, like, take this oh my god, that's really funny.
And I just remember coming to
Ugh.
your hotel room. I'm like, guys, I was just in an elevator with
I
Leonard
remember
Nimoy.
that. Okay, I remember that because you came in and it was like me, Guy, and Jim. We were standing there, and it was really awkward because Jim was like, "Okay, I don't know what to do about Guy and Ryan because they're just arguing." Like we were full on arguing when he walked in the room. And you're like, "Guys, I just met Leonard Nimoy." And I was like, "That's great. Where were you?" And you're like, "I just told you. Like, be happy for me for a second."
Yeah, like I literally just ran to Leonard Nimoy and he told me he liked my hair. Please, please
Yeah.
tell me I'm not gonna
Oh my
crawl under
god.
a desk and
Well,
die.
I don't know. At least you get to go from that awkward situation to watch a really embarrassing rehearsal.
It
Like,
was it was something. But I
oh
mean,
my
like, it
god.
wasn't too bad. I mean, I feel like the song went off pretty good. It was a little flat, but you know.
And we didn't have any time to practice. That's why. I mean, it would have been fine otherwise. And at the time, I was like 21, 22, so I was still in my peak asshole phase where I thought I was better than everyone else. And I was like, this is all Guy's fault because he can't just keep it too. And it was like, wow, Ryan, maybe it's just you.
Right. You know, like looking back. But honestly, like
Yeah.
we were also too proud to like pre-record.
I mean, I'm fine with doing things live as long as we rehearse it first. And you and I did, but we didn't have the full cast until way later. So that's what
You know, the
happened
day
with
of.
that. Whatever. So, okay. So like then I do not remember what happened that morning for me, but I know I was in stuff.
Well, I don't know
Uh,
where you were while I was watching James Hong. Like, where were you all day Saturday?
I must have been in something. Like they must have had me working something or I was in some kind of show.
Like some
I
security thing, because that's like when M asked
No,
you
I
to
don't think I
security.
was in security. I'm like really trying to rack my brain on this because I know we had the Mad Tea Party, which we'll talk about now, but then there was two panels and then something else after that. I was in something that morning and I just do not remember what it was. And whatever it was, it clearly was not important enough for
Well,
me to give a shit about.
I was gonna
So
say the watching James Hong thing. That there was a continuation to this Leonard Nimoy nonsense. So
yeah.
I end up back downstairs to watch James Hong, which is fine because I remember it because we were kind of in the
Are you
middle
still
of like
dressed as
the
Spock,
run.
by the way?
Hmm?
Are you still dressed as Spock?
Of course I was.
Okay, I don't know. Well, at this point, like, given how the rest of the weekend went, it's
Oh
like,
no,
okay, now you're
I
James
pretty much
Hahn, so you're
stayed as
probably
Spock
dressed
all
as
day.
James Hahn, you know?
I stayed as Spock all day. Don't you worry. So I'm sitting there, Leonard Nimoy dressed not Leonard Nimoy. I'm sitting there with James Hong dressed like Spock,
Yeah.
and I remember the Ghost Hunter people were at the table like next to us.
Oh, yeah. I met them, like, years later. They're pretty cool,
They are
actually.
very cool. But they were like, "Oh my god, we love your costume!" And I was like, "Thank you." And I was just sitting there, and the line for Leonard Nimoy is literally down the street from the Wilbur Theater across the street.
Well, it was, like, the only thing happening at this convention, remember? Like,
Yep.
these owners wanted Leonard Nimoy to be there, so they were like, this is Leonard Nimoy con, and then some other stuff.
Right. So I'm sitting there and I had a deck of cards that I wanted people to like I have a couple of the cards hung up still. I wanted celebrities to sign and James Hong signed my card. And he told me, fun fact, if you ever met James Hong and he signed your card, he always signs his name in Chinese as well.
Yeah, okay, that's
But
cool.
he does that because he goes, if my name on there and the Chinese not on there, it's not real. Because he
Oh.
always does the kanji.
Okay,
So
that's
I have a
cool.
legit James Hong like signature on a card.
Well, of course you do. You hung out with him all weekend.
Yes, but he embarrassed me for it. So he's sitting there, and he's just like, "You Spock?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "You meet Nimoy?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Come here, come here." So we stood up and we walk over to the door to the room, and he goes, "Hey, Nimoy!" And he looks at him, and he goes, "You meet the freak?" And he's like, "Oh yes, we met." And I'm like, "Yeah, we fucking met. Shut the fuck down." Down. He's like, I kid. I'm like, oh my
Oh my
god.
god.
Yeah, that was good. I got made fun of by James Hogg as well. I was like, this fucking bastard.
I didn't even know that
Oh
that
yeah, that
happened.
happened. No, that definitely
I didn't.
happened.
I mean, apparently I was too busy in the other room, like having meltdowns. I did have meltdowns over that weekend.
Yeah.
Do you remember that night? It was like Saturday night after the tea party and after the panels, and I came up to you and I was like, "I can't deal with this con anymore. Everything's not going right." I just started screaming, and you go, "Ryan, honey, come here." And then I walk over. You just slapped me in the face, really hard. By the way, it was like you basically punched me,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone was like, "Oh my god, you just hit Ryan." I was just like, Thanks.
I'm literally like, I'm not putting up with this right now. I can't listen to you.
That's one of my
Well,
favorite.
the thing was too is a lot of the time because I remember we got dragged away so much by the
No,
content
I don't.
too.
Why were we doing so much work for this convention? We were just supposed to perform. Why were we also running guest relations and security?
But
Like
like
that is
we got
no.
pulled away so much by the con head to like remember that room that we kept getting dragged into? I think was a dealer's room,
Yeah,
but
well, like, what were they even telling us? I don't even remember. Were they scolding us? Like,
yeah.
what were they
I
saying?
don't remember, but it was never whenever we had to get pulled away by them, it was never a good conversation. Something was falling apart.
Yeah, but like sometimes it had nothing to do with us.
Right, that's what I mean. Like it was just something that was falling apart that somehow we were going to have a magical answer to. We're like, "Hi, we're like 20 something. Don't
I
have
don't
the
know. I
answer."
remember I was doing drink runs for special guests, and they were like, "Okay, go get these things." I was like, "Okay," and I'd like make the drink and come down. They'd be like, "That was totally wrong. You need to do it better." I'm like, "I am not a bartender.
I am.
If you want somebody to do this, go find Katie. She can do
Right? Like
this."
I am.
I was like, I have zero experience in this.
No,
You
no,
know
I was
how
too
I
busy
drink
getting
alcohol
insulted.
out of the bottle. Anyway,
Yeah, I was too busy getting insulted to
yeah,
like
right.
make
Okay,
drinks.
oh my god. So later on that day, we had this wonderful this is like another batshit crazy situation. So for anybody that watched Orin Host Club,
This was
they
Sunday though.
wanted
This wasn't Saturday.
oh, was it Sunday? No, it was Saturday,
No, it
dude.
was Sunday.
Are you sure?
Yes, I remember it was Sunday because we had to do. I'm pretty sure we had to do the two events because we had to change, didn't we? I
No.
thought the tea party was later in the day on Sunday because we did the Torchwood dating game early in the morning.
No. We did Torchwood dating game early in the morning on Sunday, and then that was it. That was our final
Okay, then yeah,
thing.
we did the host club mid afternoon. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, it's because that was the big thing we had. There wasn't a masquerade, so this was kind of in place of that. And they wanted to do like a real live host club event where people bought again. It's like another situation where this con did this. So basically, it was a con you spent like I don't know $100 to get into, and then everything you did inside the con you'd have to pay for again. So they bought actual tickets to go to this Oron Host Club experience where this cast of characters was going to dress up as Orin Host Club and serve tea and drinks and tea and snacks or whatever it was. And you had the brilliant idea of being like, well, let's do like a Mad Hatter tea party idea. I think you just wanted to make costumes, and that's why that
No, there was
happened.
an episode of Host Club that was a Mad Hatter theme. It was like Alice in
But
Wonderland theme.
it wasn't all of them, right? It was like just some of them,
No,
right?
it was like the whole cast. It was a whole episode that was like Alice in Wonderland themed.
Well, I watched one episode because we got cast to do this, and I was like, "Who's this person I'm playing?" You're like, "You're playing Kyoya. Just be angry and wear glasses." I was like, "Okay, I can do that."
Yeah,
And
just
I
be
watched
annoyed.
one episode. I mean, I was already annoyed, so it wasn't like a stretch at that point. But anyway, so we get up there. Remember this, Katie? And it
Of
was
course I
like
do.
we get up there. Well, first of all, I didn't have glasses at the time, but I probably should have because I remember getting up there and like you're like, did you wear the fake glasses or did you wear my glasses? Like, I don't know. And then at the end of the show, you're like, where's my glasses? And I was like, oh, I guess I'm wearing them. But that explains why I can see. But um, it was Yumi. Okay, I guess you were Tamaki. I was Kyoya. Maddie was
Haruhi.
what's what?
Haruhi.
No, that was Lindsay. Lindsay was Haruhi.
Oh.
Maddie was the girl that was not in the Horn Host Club but was annoying.
Oh, Renga.
Yes, that's who she was. Who was Halden?
Halden
Halden
was
was the tall one.
Mori.
Maury. Was that it? I don't think there was anybody else.
No, because we didn't have the twins. I don't think, and we might have
No, we
had the
didn't.
twins. I don't remember. Like it's
We did
all.
not have the twins. I know.
I just remember
That's it.
walking into a room that they said we were going to have this tea party, and nothing was set up.
Oh no, we didn't have a room.
Yeah.
No, because they remember we showed up. We went to the room that they scheduled the panel for, and we went there, and they were like, "This room is unavailable because a guest is in here now." And we're like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "This is the room they're staying in," and we're like, "Is there no room for this?" And they were like, "No." So then we were like, "Okay, well, what do we do?" And we looked at that little. It was like on the third floor, and for some reason there was a little lobby there. I think it was your idea to be like, let's just do it fucking right here because there's also like a little sign-in area, so it works. I was like, okay, fine. And then we're like, you and I were like feverishly texting people, being like, "Where are the snacks and the tea for this?" And like, finally, so I think M sent her kid up there to tell us there was nothing, that there was no snacks and no tea for this thing that people had paid to come and eat at. And we're like, Oh, good. And then you, me, and Maddie just stared at each other for like a full 5 minutes before Maddie was eventually like, okay, I'm going to go down to the hotel room and take the coffee maker out of it. What other snacks did people bring to this convention? And so we all went back to our hotel rooms, took all of our food that we had, and brought it to this event. So then we didn't have any food.
We
That was
brought
great.
everybody's coffee makers too, so we made like multiple teapots.
I mean, I want to just say, in terms of like improvising an entire show, like from scratch, apparently, we did a pretty good fucking
I
job.
think the hotel brought up water for us though, didn't they?
Maybe.
I
I
remember
don't
them setting up a
remember.
water table.
Well, they might have been just doing that anyway because it was a convention. And they're like, these people are clearly not staying hydrated.
But like I don't even like I
Um,
think it was one of those hotels too that doesn't have like room service or anything. So like they were never gonna have food.
oh, no, it was definitely not, it didn't have a restaurant or anything
Nope.
connected to it. But that wasn't the point, though. The point was that the NEFE was going to provide like snacks or something, like little cakes or something like that. I don't remember what the fuck they were supposed to give us, but all I know is it wasn't there.
Right.
But it was, I mean, in terms of the event itself, it went off pretty well. I had no idea who I was being, but like I feel like we did a good
I
job.
mean, like it
If
worked.
any,
Everybody had a good time. No one said a word about like lack
it
of
is
food.
okay. You know, it blows my mind that not a single person that bought a ticket to that didn't, like, nobody complained. Like
Right.
everybody was like, that was the best host club experience we ever had, which really says something about our cast
Well, I
that we
think
kept on
part of
working
it
with.
too was like when they came in and they saw the snacks. I was like, "Look at all the commoner snacks that Hanabi brought."
I mean, we rolled with it. It's what
Yeah,
we're good at. And I'm glad that it was with the people that we always worked with because I don't know if it would have worked out at nearly as well.
it never would have. No.
But that's just another example of how stupid things were at this convention.
So we were coming out of that, and that's when the dinner party was happening with the guests, and that's when I ran into the agent who told me that
The dinner show was trash.
yeah, he's just like, well, it was all right. I was like, okay,
Well, okay, that's good.
right,
Then you and I had to go be on these two panels. Remember? They
yep.
were like, okay. Do you remember these panels? Because it's like really funny to me in retrospect. They were like panels about being gay. Like that was it. There was like, I don't know why there are two separate panels about that. I think I had suggested to M that we have like an LGBTQ panel or something,
Uh huh.
and I don't know, for some reason they took us along with that. There were two other guests there. There was like a gay author there, remember?
Yes.
He had, yeah, he had written a book or something, or a series of books, and was like famous in the LGBTQ scene.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on a panel with them. I think one panel was about accepting being gay, and the other one was like a panel about gay representation in the media,
Like
except like there was no gay representation in the media
I
at that time.
barely remember those panels, probably because at that point I was exhausted. So if you
We
drag
were
me along,
exhausted. And like I think we were that's when we had started drinking too. Or at least I had. That's when you know things are bad, when Ryan's like, in the middle of the show, time to start drinking. So I don't
the
remember.
panel
It
I
was really
remember
weird.
was the FMA panel that I did.
I was supposed to be on that, but like for that's like a crazy other story. We can talk about that afterwards.
Yeah.
That's what was on Sunday after the Torchwood dating game.
Right, like I met Sunny Straight at the FMA panel, and I didn't drink. I didn't drink until we did like the cast party at the weekend. I probably should have drank more to make that weekend better, but I didn't.
It didn't work,
And I
so
remember from the FMA panel that somebody accused me of being drunk at it, and I was like, no, I was probably exhausted because I'd changed
yeah,
like
I mean, like,
5 costumes.
really, like, we were overworked. It was like we were performing, and then like being told to do absurd situations. Like it's like what you said. Like, why were we being pulled aside about some situation that had nothing to do with us? And they were like, "Well, you have to get your shit under control." And it's like, what are you even saying?
Like, have you even seen any of our shit? Because we're good.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so is this the favorite part of the story that we've been dying to talk about? Because I know it was after the panels that like we had gotten pulled aside. Well, I had first gotten pulled aside because one of our friends said, I'm not even going to say what the specifics were because I don't want to get any legal trouble here, but these owners of the convention had supposedly done a bunch of shady shit, and that my friend had gotten intel from somebody, I don't know, within the government. I don't even know if that's even true. At this point, I was thinking about it, I'm like, was this dude lying to me? Like, I don't even remember. But like, whatever happened is that we figured out that they had officially bailed and run on businesses like this one in the past. So this is like
Yeah,
a reoccurring theme. And that's what we
yeah. They
found
snake
out.
businesses for a living for the insurance money. They
Yes, which is
producered. It was
fucked
the
up.
producers.
Yes,
You
and
raise more
so
money than you need, and then you put on a crappy show and you collect the insurance.
right, and then drop it on somebody else like M.
Yeah.
And so we were like, what?
Well,
And
that wasn't
so
until after the dating game. We'll get to it. So the
n-
Sunday was the dating game.
I thought it was on
No,
Saturday
because
because
I remember, Ryan, you and I were standing in a hallway that wasn't even a hallway with a bunch of chairs. You were dressed
I
like
remember that
Jack.
too. But I thought that was on Saturday night
No,
because
you
on
were dressed like Jack and
Sunday.
I was dressed like John. It was literally right after the dating
But
game on
why?
Sunday.
Oh my god, you're right.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So those panels we did, the ones that we were on with, because it was that same night that we were on those panels. So was that on Sunday also?
It must have been because we must have been dressed like Jack and John.
Were we just dressed up as Jack and John anyway? Did we do another event as Jack and John?
No, we only did dating game.
I like how I can't even keep it straight at this point. We did too many shows that
Well,
weekend.
let's start with Sunday morning and work our way back. So Sunday
Okay.
morning.
Yeah, we already gave away like the reveal though. But
Yeah,
whatever.
I know,
Okay.
but I mean, like the dating. We didn't talk about the dating game yet. The dating game.
No,
was...
it had to. Okay, it had to have been Saturday night though, because at the end of the conversation, you were like, "I'm going to bed," because you're like, "I'm just done. I'm going to the hotel room. I'm going to bed." But like that wouldn't have been Sunday night because we would have been out for the cast party.
That also could have been any other conversation on a Saturday night. No, I'm telling you, Sunday was the day that we were like, "Oh, we have to go back to the convention now."
Well, yeah, but whatever.
Right. So Sunday on the dating game, and it's Torchwood, and the room was pretty full for it.
God, we're only on Sunday.
Yeah, we're only on Sunday, and so like we're in the room, and Pam's there talking to me.
This is just like
And
I don't know.
the
We
intro for it was it was taking forever for the show to start for some reason. And finally, Pam looks at me and goes, "Okay, Gareth David Lloyd's downstairs right now. If you want to meet him, you have to go right now."
okay.
And I was like, "Right now?" She goes, "We have time. Like, we're not even starting yet." And I'm like, "Okay." And I got downstairs and I got the picture with him. I got his autograph and I got the picture with him.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, well, we have to go back upstairs right now, Pam." But Pam wanted a picture too, so whatever. And I remember like the song, like what the song started over how many times before I entered?
Okay, wait. That's really funny though, because the reason why it took forever to start is because we were having sound issues, period.
Right.
Maddie was running sound and she was like, okay, well, let's do this. So the show started. I don't know who was in there because we were all outside. Maybe I think Pam opened the show and then came out and you were waiting because you were the last person to enter.
Right, and Pam made it back upstairs before me because I was like, "Just go. I know you start the show. I'll just enter. It's not a big deal."
Right. I was outside waiting for my cue because they were gonna queue up oh my god, what was the song? The one that goes, "You'd be so nice to come home to." That's probably the name of the title. I don't know. But like that's the song that I was singing as Jack. And so they played it 3 times before I heard the cue because I was outside talking to Adam who ran Repo and like he was also in the dating game because we didn't have anybody signed up. So we were like, okay, Adam, can you do this as Jack Sparrow? And I was like, oh shit, that's my cue. So I run in and I do the whole thing. And then we're calling you out and we play your cue like at least 9 times. It was a lot of times, Katie. But I can't even like judge you for it because I already missed my cue 3 times in a row. But we couldn't hear anything. So it's not like
right. But like I remember hearing my cue when I got off the elevator and I ran into the room and I was like, "Fuck yeah."
No, I remember because you like burst in and whatever you did, it worked because it was not correct, but it
was funny.
Yeah, it was like I was like, I don't know what's happening. We're just gonna roll with this. And I think I called it out on stage. I was like, where the fuck were you? I
was just like, where weren't you?
By the way, this tortured dating game was happening the same time as Gareth signing in some other major event that they had planned, like the owners had planned, and I don't remember what it was, but I remember the owners pulled us aside afterwards and were like, it wasn't very good that your event did better than the one that we were going to run here today. And we're very disappointed in you. And we're like, wait, why are you disappointed in us for running a show that literally the entire convention went to go to see and not whatever the stupid shit you were doing down here? Like, that's not our problem.
Also, I enjoyed that I met Gareth David Lloyd dressed as John Hart because he enjoyed my John Hart costume.
No, at least you weren't fucking Yonto this time.
Not Yonto. I was not Yonto in front of him. And I remember as I'm running out, he goes, "Oh, bye." And I was like, "I'm sorry, I have to go upstairs. The Torchwood dating game's happening." And he's like, "Oh." Bye.
we're gonna
Bye.
go murder your character upstairs again. Okay, that was fun though. There was like so many musical numbers because then we did the Tango Harkness.
Yep.
Then at the end, Maddie and Halden were Deadpool and Wonder Woman, and they sang Spamalot's once whatever the song that goes like this. I think that's what it's
This show
called.
that goes like this.
Yeah, and it got a standing ovation, like the show itself, like because it was set up like a dinner theater in there too. So we were like, well, since we can do the dinner theater that we were literally hired to do, we're just going to do it in here. And apparently, from what I understood, is that it got such a good reaction that everybody was talking about how it was better than the events that were happening that day. They said it was better than the dinner theater with the guests. And you and I were like, oh, okay. So it seems like we know what we're doing.
But also, to be fair,
So
I don't really remember what else was going on that day, so I feel like a cat stuck in a paper bag would have been better than anything else going on that day.
oh, well, that's true too. But that was a fun show. And then at some point, either Saturday or Sunday, I had that news come to me about how these people had been like robbing people, and that my friend was gonna shut down the convention and call this person up and come in there and just shut everything down right there, right now. And then they were like, but for some reason, he turned to me and he was like, "So Ryan, what should I do? Should I shut down the convention and everything right now or not?" And I'm like, why is this my decision to make? I
Right.
was
It's
like,
you seem
I
like
was
you
like,
got it together.
yeah, I was like, this is not my responsibility. I am just an actor. I am not here to make decisions
I am
about
suddenly
the
God.
law. Yeah. Well, you're God. I was like working for God, but
Stop it.
but I remember standing there being like, no. And I'm in the back of my head, I'm like, I don't know what if any of this is true or not, but I was like, I'm just gonna have to assume that it is. And I just go, no, there are too many people here. There's too many people having a good time. You know, these owners do have two kids that are here, and I don't know if they've been forced to work or not, or whatever the deal is, but like they were adopted. So like let's not upheaval all of that in the middle of this shit show right now. Like, let's not do any of that because I feel like that's the wrong way to move. And I was legitimately thinking about everybody that was involved. And like, if somebody came down and shut down this place, like, what would happen to everybody that was there? Like, we wouldn't be accused of anything, but it would be like a shit show to clean up. And I was like, I don't want to deal with that. Like, and if you're gonna pull that shit, let me know because I don't want to be here for it.
Well, that's what
It's
I'm saying.
like,
It's just like you were talking. I remember you and I talking about it in that hallway. We are just like, well, what happens? Like,
yeah,
who
that's
gets
because you.
arrested? Who doesn't get arrested? Like,
Well, I mean, and I think I said at the time, I'm like, well, there's no reason for us to get arrested because our name isn't on anything. We just were hired here to do shows. So, like, we weren't even on a contract. So it's like, it didn't really actually affect us anyway. And if somebody asked us, we'd be like, we don't fucking know. We think it's weird here. But that's why we were in that room with all the chairs. And we talked for like a full 20 minutes.
oh
And
yeah,
I was like, what are we supposed to do? I think it's because he was like, I'll give you an hour to think about this before I make the call, and then you can stop me if you want. And I was like, why am I doing this? And that's why I was freaking out with you. I'm like, I was like, what? I cannot. I was like, that is too much for a person who was not involved with any of this to handle. Like, and I think he was doing it because he was looking out for you and me specifically and being like, I want you all to be free of this
like
shit.
pretty
I
much
think he
like
was
if you
worried
want to
about
pack your
Pam.
bags and bail, now's the time. It's like,
Yeah, but like he was also really good friends with Pam, and I think he just wanted to make sure that, like, I think what he saw was that he could shut this thing down in a second, but he was only doing it because he saw that like all of us were like in incredible anguish about this convention. It had been for months, and like I think he was now in the thick of it because he had seen us like coming in and out of meetings or whatever, and
right.
then this was the first time that he was there for it and like saw it. And he's like, yeah, this sucks. I want to shut it down and I have the power to do that. Should I shut it down? And like, I don't think he went to Pam because Pam would just like roll it off her back and not really consider anything that was like being told to her because I think she's not, this isn't an insult towards her, but I think she just was like, you know, if something like that comes along, she's not going to let it ruin her day, basically. You know, she's just gonna like be like, like I'm not gonna really like fight you on this, and I'm gonna be like, but he turns to if he turns to me or you're not you either of us would have been like, yeah, no, we're not doing this. This is fucking stupid. So I think you ended up being like, I'm just gonna go to bed. You decide whatever you're gonna do. Just let me know if I need to pack my bags. It's like, oh, okay, good, great.
Well, then we didn't even end up going to bed because then there was the cast party.
But that's why I think it was on Saturday that we had this conversation.
But it wasn't.
So, but I think it was. We'll let the let's let, okay, your listeners can call on in and let us know what they think was on Saturday or Sunday, given this story.
Because that means we would have changed costumes like 8 times on Saturday, and there would have been no reason for us
You're
to be
saying
in
that
Torchwood on
it means you
Saturday.
wouldn't do that anyway.
There
Do
was
you
no
think?
reason for us to be in Torchwood on Saturday. I know we only wore Torchwood on Sunday, so I know I'm right.
I know. Well, at least we know when Torchwood happened. We knew Torchwood is at the beginning of this, and we knew that Repo was, or sorry, Torchwood is at the end of this, and Repo was at the beginning of this, and everything else in between is a fucking shit show.
Right.
Um, then that you're right. So after that, we decided no. I don't know if I told you this part, but then I did meet up with him, and he was like in his hotel room, like by himself, and like he was like, "Do you want to like do this?" And I was like, "No." And that's when I told him everything. I was like, we're not going to do this. I'm not doing this. Like, I'm going to go to my room and just enjoy the remainder of this convention." And I told him, I'm like, we have a show to do. So like, let us do the show. like that's what I care about right now. I don't care about any of this other shit. I'm uninvolved. So that's what happened. But
Right.
it was fucking weird. Like, why was that ever even thrown at us? Like it's like everything else. And it's like, I'm sure he saw every single time we were being pulled aside by these owners being like, "Oh, you have to fix these problems," and trying to make us own responsibility for their shit so they could get away and say like, "Oh, they've been taking care of it, but you and I weren't having it." And he was probably like, "Yeah, I'm going to shut it down."
Hmm.
So anyway, that's my theory. Do you want to talk about the cast party?
Well, at that point, we were just like, well, I don't know how involved we are, but I guess we could enjoy the night out with the guests. And I think after all that, all the guests we had and everything, I think we only had the one guest go out with us, right? Like, I don't remember James Hong
we
being there.
had James Hahn, and we also had that writer Bettina, I think her name
Oh,
was,
yeah,
something
Bettina
like
went.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was it because we had. Oh yeah, okay. The story continues before we even get to the fucking party. Jesus Christ! And so Bettina and James Hahn went, but we had all these other guests that could have gone, but they were like done because they like hated this convention so much. There was no security. There's no protection for them. I know M wanted to go up and formally invite Gareth and be like, "Hey, if you want to go, it's okay. Most of the people are gone." So she asked me to come up as her security.
Hmm.
So I was like just dressed as a normal dude at that point. It's like, all right, well, I'll just throw on some of my black clothes then because
Yeah.
whatever. Like I own a ton of that anyway. And so we went upstairs and like she knocked on his door and she's like, "It's me." And he opened the door and she's like, "I just want to thank you for coming to the convention. She was trying to save face for everything that had happened to him over the weekend. And I was just standing there. I didn't interact with him at all because I was like, I like in a way, like I don't get starstruck, so like that doesn't really bother me. And I'm just kind of like, okay, cool. It's just this guy. And also like I was just like, enough's enough, right? And I wasn't even security for Gareth. I was security for her because the two people that she was running the convention with were like abusing her at this point mentally and emotionally and physically. And I was like, and she was scared that I don't know, she was scared that she was going to die. I don't know why that came up, but that was a whole thing. And I was like, not that Katie, do you think I could have like protected her if somebody like came in with a fucking gun? Like, it's me,
Would have
let's
been
be
better if
real.
I'd gone with him.
Yeah, I mean honestly yes, but I just happened to be there in that moment. So like we went up there. He didn't want to like come down. She went to the other guests and asked them if they wanted to go, and they all said no. But he did say thank you. Um, yeah, I remember her saying that she shook his hand and that he said he felt clammy. And I'm like, and she's like, it's almost like he was under the weather. And I'm like, I think he's just having an anxiety attack personally.
Yeah. I think
Like,
he's freaking out.
yeah, if I have an anxiety attack, I sweat. I don't know. Anyway, so anyway, that's when we all met up and went up to the dinner, and it was just us, and we booked it at this. Well, we didn't book this, but NEFE had booked it at this.
It's a golden
Honestly,
garden.
yeah, it was incredibly beautiful in there. It was a beautiful Chinese restaurant.
We also got like a lot of free stuff because we walked in there with James Hong and they lost their minds.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh, wow.
Like they were like
That's funny.
all about it because I mean he is a really famous actor, especially being of like the same descent and everything. Like it was a big deal. He was at their restaurant.
Right. I forgot that that
Like, I'm
happened,
pretty
and
sure
then
because that restaurant's still open down in Southie. Because I eat at the when I go into Boston to go see shows now with my friend, we eat at a pot sticker place across the street from it,
right.
and they're still open. There's a whole display case in their lobby if you go in, and it should still be there. I'm pretty sure it's still there. All of his signatures and stuff that he did for them.
Are you kidding me? That's so
Yeah, they
cool.
like as we were leaving, they showed us the display case. They put it right in the display
What was
case before we even
the
left.
I really wanna know what it's called because I'm gonna Google right now real see if I can find it fast, but it was in Chinatown,
Yeah, it's the
right?
Golden Garden.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Pretty sure.
Well, it's a big it's like this you go on the inside and it's like it was multi-leveled, right?
Yeah.
Because we went upstairs and it was beautiful. It was like it really looked like luxury. And on on the level that we were in, we sat in a dinner theater. They had a theater in there. There wasn't anything happening. There was like barely anybody there. It was just like our tables, pretty much. I do you think they bought out the floor for that day, thinking that Leonard Nimoy was going to come and have dinner with us?
Oh, I think they expected more people to show up for the dinner, and like only like 20 of us went because we were over it.
Oh, okay. Well, I just remember it being beautiful up there, and I
It
was
was
like, I
gorgeous.
really like this. And we had so many drinks because they kept on giving us the drinks for free,
Yep.
right?
Oh, everything, pretty much everything. We like he ordered for the table that we were at. I don't know if he ordered for everybody, but he ordered for the table we were at. And I'm fairly sure they just kept bringing out extra stuff and extra drinks, and like they paid like maybe half the price of what they should have.
Right. Oh, okay. It's not the Golden Garden. I think I found it. Is it the Empire Garden?
Oh, maybe.
That I'm looking at pictures online. It looks this is definitely it. Yep, this is it.
Okay, so the Empire Garden. I
Okay.
retract.
Okay. Well, you were close. You said Golden Garden. So
Yeah.
like you were just off. Yeah, and we had seats in their theater room that also had like a ballroom floor because I think they must do like I don't know dances and weddings and stuff there. So we sat there. You were with James Hahn. You can take it from here because I was like I was drinking pretty heavily at this point, so I don't really remember
Well,
what
like
even
it's just
happened.
he started drinking for everybody started drinking heavily, so everybody's getting drunk. I think I had a Scorpion Bowl. You know me, I'm not a huge drinker. I'm just
Oh yeah, I forgot I had like 3 of those.
yeah, and I'm not a huge drinker, so I'm not a person that would like normally get drunk or anything. But like
Right.
we were all talking about stuff, and we all got all the women at the table were dubbed a wife of some kind.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, like we had like a really good time at dinner. Like I said, every once in a while they'd come over and he'd sign like something for the restaurant, and then they'd bring food. So it's kind of like an exchange of like you give us food, we give you like all the James Hong
We
concerts.
give you James Hahn.
And I remember like I said, we were leaving, and they showed us the display case,
Yes. Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, like it was really cool. And then that's when we were heading back through, and we stopped at the porn store because Mr. Hong wanted to go inside.
Yeah, thank God we did because they got some good lube there.
Yes, but our poor friend that was with him, had to explain to him all the different toys what they did,
Yeah. Oh my god.
and it was like, and I just
I
I remember M went in with us because they're like whatever,
okay,
and
but this is like totally the shit that M loves to do though.
right, it
Like
was like nobody could take pictures of him in there or anything, but it was like
maybe that's why he wanted to go in. He's like, oh, let's go in here because like nobody could come running up to me on the street now
right.
because we're in a porn store.
So we went to the porn store with him, and then we headed back to the hotel.
Okay, wait, hold on. In the porn store, though, like you guys were all upstairs, and there was like a secret downstairs level that I had found, and nobody else went down there except for me. And it was like that's where like all the anal stuff was, like all the gay sex, and I was like, whoa. I think it was like one of those weird places too that had like the weird hookup booths in there too. So like people were probably like cruising down there, and I was like, "What's going on down here?" And then I like went upstairs. I was like, "Guys, there's the craziest shit going on downstairs," and like nobody was there except for that one girl, Ash, I think. And you were all outside. You were all like, Ryan, where were you? It's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah. So we get back to the hotel, and everyone, like I said, we're exhausted by then. We're like, okay, you know what? Let's just go to our hotel rooms. We're gonna spend one more night, and then we're all gonna leave Boston, and we're never gonna talk about this again, except on a podcast like 12 years later.
Well, it was
And
bound to happen if it wasn't going to show up in one of her books.
right, and we were like, well, we're going back to our hotel room to play Apples and Apples. And James Hong is like,
Oh my god, this is before Cards Against Humanity. This is like
yeah,
probably where it was born.
yeah, we put Cards Against Humanity with Apples to Apples, and James Hong wanted to come play with us, so he did.
Yeah, well, I mean, why would you say no to that? That seemed we were having a good night.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, we finished the night with drunk Apples to Apples, and he went back to his hotel room finally, and then it was just that was it. Like we left the next morning.
Yeah, right. I mean, well, I didn't leave that morning because Lindsay and I went back early, and that because I feel like we didn't talk about Lindsay being at this con at all, but see what happened. So I don't really know. So,
Right.
but like, but you know, she was just like, "This was a shitty weekend." It's like it really was, and I have to go back to work tomorrow. And we had AAC the following weekend. I literally like this. You and I powered through 2 conventions in a row.
Yep.
I don't know, and that I think AAC was better. I don't remember what happened at that one, but like it was like we just went through 2 incredible weekends, and we had these incredible experiences.
They were two
that
very different experiences.
Okay, so wrap up though. What happened to this convention?
Uh,
Because like I don't. This is where because I was in the middle of moving to
I
Connecticut during all
know
this.
from what I understand, there was legal issues between M and the owners.
Yeah,
And I'm
is this
pretty
what
sure
she was
that it
all?
ruled
But
in
she was
M's
away,
favor.
right? But she was also away during the time during this, right? Like they pulled this out when she went away to Japan.
No, she went to Japan before the convention started. Like all the stuff
Okay.
that they like screwed up happened while she was in Japan.
Quote unquote screwed up. Like
Like
it was
fucked up.
intentional. Let's be real.
Really
Okay.
fucked it.
Yeah.
Like without the lube that Ryan found at the porn store. Like fucked it.
I mean, I don't know if it would have made it better, honestly.
It probably wouldn't have helped. No. No, nothing would have helped. So, I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, long story short, I'm pretty sure that like everything. Basically, what happened was is it just filed bankruptcy. Like the convention bankrupt, and we never heard from any of them except for M again.
Yeah. But we know that they tried to defunct themselves from it and put all the debt on M, right? Is
Yeah,
that what
yeah,
happened?
pretty much.
I mean, like, here's the thing: if like I mean, we're sitting here being like super secretive about it, but if you wanted to know this information, I'm pretty sure anything that goes through court then becomes a public record, right?
Yeah,
So you
and
could
this is
probably
like again,
find
this
this
was almost
information.
like 12 years ago.
Yeah. Also, like, who cares? Like, it's just ourselves lamenting about how horrible this convention was.
Yeah,
Dot dot dot. Total silence.
yeah,
Like,
just like God, this is a heavy hour. Okay, well, I mean, this has gone on long enough, so that's
yeah,
it.
it
That's the
really
Neepy
has. That's it.
story.
That's the NEFE story. We've worked other conventions and have other horror stories. I don't know if they're quite as bad as this one.
That's the worst. I gotta say, like in like the 20 years that I've been doing conventions, that's probably the worst story.
Hey, yeah, yeah.
It was
I don't
bad.
know. Well, I'm sure you'll have me back at some other point to talk about other things because we have so many lovely stories to share.
Oh,
But
God, yeah.
this is the longest one that we'll ever do. I can't believe this is fucking hour long.
I know no one will listen to this podcast.
This is like the one that gets like a hit. Everyone's like, "Wow, that was like the most riveting tale of our
You
entire
guys,
lives." I
if you
want to.
listened all the way through, like and comment.
Yeah, they're gonna be begging for you to have me back on the show, Katie. You
Yeah,
know it.
seriously. Like, well, this is the end of the show. Bye, guys. All right. Well,
All
thanks
right.
everybody for tuning in. Ryan, thanks for coming back and helping with that
Whew. Yeah, I'm getting a glass of
timeline.
water now.
Good Lord. Yeah, right. Like I need to go take a nap.
Yeah, and like get me an inhaler. I need to breathe.
I need to go take a shower, wash this whole experience off again.
Oh
Ugh.
my god.
But
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Ryan, is there anything we should promote while we're here?
Yeah, my main podcast is the Mutant Ages, and you can find that pretty much anywhere: iTunes, SoundCloud, whatever you listen to it on. It's an X-Men podcast where me and my best friend Maddie watch every single incarnation of the X-Men that's not a comic book, and we compare it to the comic books, and we go over all the queer metaphors of the X-Men and also any other marginalized class. And we also talk a lot about who Wolverine's dating and who he's boning. So it's a good time.
Have a good night,
All right.
guys.
Goodbye.